Clara paced the opulent, marble-floor hallway of the five-star hotel, her steps echoing in the cavernous space. The gilded walls and crystal chandeliers that had once seemed charming now felt like a mockery of her situation. With each step, the weight of Evelyn's scorn and Mike's indifference pressed heavier upon her shoulders. The hotel's luxuriousness was a far cry from the hollow feeling she harbored inside. She had just finished stuffing the last of her belongings into her suitcase, her movements brisk and determined. Her heart raced with a mixture of anger and resolve. Her plan was to escape the oppressive environment created by her husband and his mother, whose constant criticism had chipped away at her self-esteem. The note she left behind was brief but to the point. It read, "I can't continue this charade any longer. I've booked a flight home. Clara." Clara had barely closed the door to their suite when she heard the soft click of a keycard. The door swung open and Mike stumbled in, his face flushed and eyes bloodshot. He had clearly been drinking. His expression shifted from surprise to annoyance as he saw Clara's packed suitcase. "Clara, what the hell is going on?" Mike's voice was slurred, a cocktail of frustration and confusion. "I'm leaving," Clara said firmly, avoiding his gaze as she zipped up the final compartment of her suitcase. "I can't stay here and be treated like a second-class citizen." Mike's eyes narrowed, his irritation bubbling up. "Oh, come on, Clara. Don't make a scene. We're in a foreign country. Just calm down. Calm down." Clara felt a surge of anger at his dismissive tone. "Calm down. You and your mother have been making my life miserable for weeks. I'm done playing the part of your dutiful wife while you both walk all over me." Mike took a stumbling step towards her, his hands outstretched as if trying to physically restrain her. "This is ridiculous. You're making a big fuss over nothing. We're supposed to be having a good time here." Clara looked at him with a mixture of pity and disdain. "A good time? Mike, this isn't about a vacation. It's about respect, something you clearly don't understand. I'm leaving. You can deal with your mother on your own." With a final look of determination, Clara walked past him and out of the room, her suitcase rolling behind her. She didn't look back as she made her way through the hotel lobby, where the grandeur of the place seemed to mock her resolute escape. The night air was crisp and cool, a stark contrast to the stifling atmosphere she had just flawed. As she approached the airport shuttle, Clara felt a mix of relief and apprehension. This was the first step in reclaiming her own life, a journey fraught with uncertainty, but driven by a newfound courage. The airport was a sanctuary of order amidst the chaos of her emotions. As she waited for her flight, Clara's mind raced with thoughts of what lay ahead. The immediate sense of freedom was exhilarating, but the prospect of returning to the everyday struggles of her life was daunting. She wondered if this decision would truly lead to the happiness she sought or if it would only bring more complications. As the announcement for her flight echoed through the terminal, Clara felt a pang of fear but also a deep sense of liberation. She was finally taking control, even if it meant facing an uncertain future. As she boarded the plane, she glanced back one last time, ready to leave behind the ghosts of her past and embrace the unknown that awaited her. In the quiet confines of her seat, Clara leaned back, closing her eyes. The gentle hum of the aircraft seemed to soothe her frayed nerves. This flight was more than just a journey home. It was a symbolic departure from a life that had suffocated her spirit. She resolved to confront the challenges ahead with renewed strength, determined to forge a path that honored her own worth and aspirations. The plane ascended into the night sky, and Clara's heart, though still heavy with the weight of her decision, began to feel lighter with each passing moment. She was free, at last, to rewrite her own story, and this time she would be the author of her own destiny. Clara's flight touched down in the early hours of the morning, and the world outside her airplane window was still shrouded in darkness. As she collected her luggage from the carousel, a feeling of quiet triumph and trepidation mingled within her. The distant hum of the airport was a stark contrast to the cacophony of emotions she felt inside. Her resolve was firm, but the path ahead was uncharted. Her new beginning began with a visit to her lawyer's office, a place that now symbolized both the end of one chapter and the tentative start of another. The law office was a stark, professional space with polished wooden desks and neat stacks of legal briefs. Clara's lawyer, Sarah Bennett, greeted her with a warm smile that immediately made Clara feel a sliver of hope. Sarah's empathetic demeanor was a comfort amid the upheaval. "Clara, it's good to see you," Sarah said, her eyes reflecting genuine concern. "How are you holding up?" "I'm doing okay," Clara replied, her voice steady despite the nervous flutter in her chest. "I want to move forward with the divorce." Sarah nodded, her gaze focused and reassuring. "We can certainly do that. I'll expedite the process. You've got all the necessary documents, right?" Clara handed over the crumpled divorce papers Mike had thrown at her months ago. They were a physical reminder of the discord she had endured. As Sarah reviewed them, she looked up and gave Clara an encouraging nod. "I'll get things moving on my end. In the meantime, make sure to keep your address confidential. It's important to stay safe during this transition." Clara agreed and left the office with a sense of purpose. She headed straight to her new apartment, a place she had carefully chosen and prepared in secrecy. The apartment was modest but charming, situated in a quiet neighborhood away from the chaos of her previous life. It was her sanctuary, with soft beige walls, a cozy living room, and a kitchen that felt like a blank canvas for new memories. As she unpacked boxes and arranged her belongings, Clara felt an unexpected thrill. Each item she placed was a step away from her old life and a move towards her new beginning. Her new routine quickly took shape. The solitude of her new space was refreshing, and the silence was a balm for her weary soul. For the first time in a long while, Clara felt in control. Her work became a source of both solace and fulfillment. With renewed focus, Clara threw herself into her projects, finding solace in the familiar rhythm of her tasks. She connected with old friends she had lost touch with over the years. Conversations with them brought a sense of normalcy and warmth back into her life. The support from her parents was unwavering. They had always stood by her, and their joy at her decision to leave Mike was palpable. One evening, Clara met with her parents at their home for dinner. The kitchen was filled with the aroma of her mother's cooking, and the clatter of cutlery on plates created a comforting ambience. Clara's mother, Ellen, bustled around the kitchen, while her father, Richard, sat at the table, his expression a mixture of pride and concern. "So, Clara," Ellen said, setting a steaming dish on the table, "how's the new apartment?" "It's wonderful," Clara replied, a genuine smile spreading across her face. "I've started decorating, and it already feels like home." Richard looked at Clara with a warm but scrutinizing gaze. "And how are things at work? I hope you're not overexerting yourself." Clara laughed softly. "Work's been great. It's actually been a good distraction, and I'm enjoying the challenge. It's nice to feel like I'm accomplishing something again." Ellen poured wine into glasses, her eyes full of concern. "We just want you to be happy, Clara. You've been through so much." "I know, Mom," Clara said, her voice tinged with emotion. "I feel like I'm finally on the right path. It's scary, but it's also exciting. I'm ready to start this new chapter." Her parents exchanged a look of relief and pride. "We're proud of you," Richard said. "It takes a lot of courage to make such a big change. Just remember, we're here for you every step of the way." As the evening wore on, the conversation turned to lighter topics, but Clara felt a deep sense of gratitude for her parents' support. Their encouragement was a beacon of hope as she navigated her new reality. The days turned into weeks, and Clara's life slowly began to settle into a rhythm. The initial surge of excitement gave way to the steadiness of everyday life. She found solace in her newfound independence and in the simple pleasures of her new home. Each day brought a small victory, from mastering a new recipe to successfully handling a challenging project at work. Yet, as Clara embraced her new beginning, she couldn't help but wonder about the path her life would take from here. The weight of her past lingered in the background, a reminder of the struggles she had overcome. But with each step forward, Clara felt stronger and more resilient, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Her new life was a blank slate, and as she stared out the window of her apartment at the bustling city below, Clara felt a surge of optimism. She was no longer defined by her past, but was shaping her future with each passing day. The journey ahead was uncertain, but Clara was prepared to face it with a renewed sense of purpose and hope. Mike and Evelyn's return from their disastrous trip was marked by a palpable sense of defeat. The luxurious escapade that was supposed to elevate their status and delight their senses had instead become a grueling ordeal, marked by missed connections and escalating arguments. Their grand expectations had crumbled under the weight of their arrogance and intolerance. The day they landed was dreary, with rain drizzling over the airport as if reflecting their dismal mood. Evelyn's face was set in a tight frown, her frustration barely contained. She clutched her designer handbag like a lifeline, her eyes darting around in search of something to blame for their misfortunes. "Mike, I can't believe you let us miss that flight. What kind of husband are you?" Evelyn snapped, her voice sharp and accusing. Mike, still fuming from their latest blunder, shot her a glare. "Oh, so now it's my fault we're in this mess. If you hadn't insisted on that ridiculous detour, we wouldn't be here." Evelyn's eyes widened with indignation. "Ridiculous detour? You mean the one that was supposed to give us a bit of cultural enrichment? Maybe if you actually paid attention instead of spending your time sulking, we wouldn't be in this predicament." Their argument continued, unabated, their voices rising above the clamor of the airport. The cacophony of their bickering was a stark contrast to the somber mood that had settled over their return. The luxurious surroundings of their journey had been reduced to nothing more than a backdrop for their escalating discord. Back in their home, Mike's rage found a new target, Clara. His attempts to reach her were relentless, his messages increasingly frantic. The sound of his phone ringing was a harsh reminder of the disarray he now faced. Each unanswered call only served to heighten his frustration. "Clara, where the hell are you? We need to talk." Mike's voice was filled with a mix of anger and desperation as he left yet another voicemail. "You can't just run away and leave me to deal with this mess. Call me back." Clara, ensconced in the tranquility of her new apartment, ignored the persistent calls and messages. The peace she had sought was now her reality, and she was determined not to let Mike's attempts to reinsert himself into her life disturb it. She felt a growing sense of satisfaction with each message she deleted, each call she ignored. The peace of Clara's new life was shattered only once, when a loud knock echoed through her apartment. She opened the door to find Mike standing there, his face a portrait of exhaustion and anger. "Clara," he said, his voice hoarse from yelling and the strain of their recent ordeal, "this has to stop. We need to talk about what's happening." Clara stood firm, her expression a blend of resolve and wariness. "There's nothing left to talk about, Mike. I've made my decision." Mike's frustration was palpable. "You think you can just walk away from everything? You're leaving me with a disaster, and you're not even willing to discuss it. Do you have any idea what kind of mess you've left behind?" Clara's gaze was steady, her voice calm but unwavering. "Not responsible for your mistakes. I'm done with this toxic relationship, and nothing you say or do will change that." Mike's face darkened with a mixture of anger and desperation. "You can't just ignore me forever. I'm going to get those papers thrown out. I'm not letting you dictate the terms of our separation." As Mike stormed away, Clara closed the door behind him, the finality of the action a soothing balm to her frayed nerves. She had stood her ground, and for the first time in a long while, she felt truly empowered. The noise of Mike's rage receded into the background as she returned to her quiet, newly furnished apartment. Despite Mike's efforts to reverse the situation, Clara's determination remained unshaken. The divorce papers, which had once seemed like a symbol of her struggles, were now a testament to her resolve. She was ready to move forward, unburdened by the chaos of her past life. As the weeks went by, Clara's new life began to settle into a comfortable routine. She reveled in the independence she had reclaimed and took solace in her supportive network of friends and family. Her interactions with her parents grew warmer and more frequent, their encouragement a steady source of strength. One evening, Clara met with her close friend, Laura, at a local cafe. The atmosphere was cozy, with soft lighting and the gentle hum of conversation creating a relaxed ambience. Laura's eyes sparkled with curiosity and concern as she looked at Clara. "You seem more at peace these days," Laura said, stirring her coffee. "How's everything going with the divorce and all?" Clara smiled, a genuine warmth in her expression. "It's been challenging, but I'm handling it. I've finally started to find my rhythm in this new chapter. It's strange, but I actually feel hopeful about the future." Laura nodded, her gaze filled with understanding. "I'm so glad to hear that. You deserve to be happy and to move on from everything that's been holding you back." Their conversation drifted to lighter topics, but Clara's mind lingered on the sense of renewal she felt. She had faced the fallout of her past decisions with courage and was steadily forging a path towards a brighter, more fulfilling future. Each day brought new challenges, but Clara was ready to face them with the resilience and strength she had discovered within herself. Clara's newfound freedom unfolded like a vibrant tapestry, each thread representing a facet of her blossoming life. Her career soared to new heights as she embraced her work with renewed passion and purpose. The office, once a place of drudgery and stress, became a realm of achievement and recognition. Clara's contributions were acknowledged with accolades and promotions, reflecting her hard-earned success and the resilience she had cultivated. Her apartment, now a haven of serenity, was a stark contrast to the chaos of her previous life. With each passing day, Clara's confidence grew, fueled by her accomplishments and the joy of her autonomy. The city outside her window was no longer a backdrop to her discontent, but a playground for her newfound freedom. She reveled in exploring its hidden gems, from charming bookstores to quaint coffee shops, each visit a reminder of the life she was now building. Traveling, once a source of conflict and stress, became a joyous adventure. Clara embarked on solo trips to destinations she had always dreamed of, from the sun-drenched coasts of Greece to the bustling streets of Tokyo. Each journey was a celebration of her independence and a testament to the strength she had discovered within herself. The experiences were not just about the places she visited, but about the person she was becoming. Confident, adventurous, and self-reliant. Socially, Clara's life flourished. She rekindled old friendships and forged new ones, each connection adding depth and richness to her social circle. One evening, Clara met her friends for dinner at a trendy restaurant, the ambience lively with laughter and conversation. The table was a mix of vibrant personalities, and Clara felt a sense of belonging she had missed for years. "So, Clara," Emily, a close friend, asked, her eyes twinkling with curiosity, "how's the dating scene treating you?" Clara laughed, her face glowing with a mix of amusement and contentment. "It's been interesting. I've met some wonderful people. It's nice to have the freedom to explore new relationships without the baggage of my past." Another friend, Tom, raised his glass in a toast to new beginnings. "Clara, you've really turned things around. It's inspiring to see how you've embraced this new chapter." Clara clinked glasses with them, her heart swelling with gratitude. "Thank you. It's been a journey, but I'm grateful for every step. I feel like I'm finally living the life I was meant to." Meanwhile, in their old apartment, Mike and Evelyn were struggling to keep up appearances. The grandeur that once characterized their lives was now overshadowed by financial strain and mounting debts. The apartment, once a symbol of luxury, was now a constant reminder of their deteriorating circumstances. Mike's workdays extended into late nights as he grappled with the financial mess that had become their reality. His pride had been replaced with a weary resignation as he struggled to make ends meet. Each paycheck seemed to slip through his fingers, consumed by Evelyn's relentless demands and the debts they had accrued. Evelyn, accustomed to a life of luxury, found it hard to adapt to their new reality. Her insatiable desire for pampering and indulgence only exacerbated their financial woes. The lavish shopping sprees and expensive tastes that had once defined her lifestyle were now a source of tension and frustration. One evening, Mike and Evelyn sat across from each other at their dining table, a stark contrast to the elegant settings they once enjoyed. The room was dimly lit, the atmosphere heavy with unspoken resentments. "Mike, we need to talk," Evelyn said, her voice laced with frustration as she sifted through a stack of bills. "We can't keep living like this. I need to have a new wardrobe for the upcoming events, and we're running out of money." Mike rubbed his temples, his exhaustion evident. "Evelyn, we've been over this. We're barely scraping by as it is. I'm working extra hours just to keep us afloat, and you keep spending money we don't have." Evelyn's eyes flashed with irritation. "Well, if you had managed our finances better, we wouldn't be in this situation. It's not like I'm asking for anything unreasonable." Mike's voice grew strained as he tried to contain his frustration. "I'm doing my best, but it's not enough. We're in over our heads, and we need to make some tough decisions." The tension between them was palpable, a stark contrast to the harmony Clara now enjoyed. Their arguments became a daily occurrence, fueled by their mounting pressures and financial difficulties. The once proud couple was now trapped in a cycle of blame and despair. In the quiet of her new apartment, Clara reflected on how drastically her life had changed. The shadow of her past was slowly fading, replaced by the promise of a future she was building with her own hands. She looked out the window at the city lights, a sense of calm and contentment washing over her. Her life was no longer defined by the constraints of her old relationship. She was rising above the turmoil, embracing a future filled with possibilities and joy. Each day was a testament to her resilience and strength, a reminder that she had the power to shape her own destiny. Clara's life had found a stable rhythm, her days marked by a mix of productivity and peaceful solitude. She was at home one evening, having just returned from a satisfying day at work, when her phone rang. The number was unfamiliar, and she hesitated before answering. Her heart skipped a beat when she recognized Mike's voice on the other end. "Clara," Mike's voice crackled with barely contained anger and desperation. "You left me and divorced me without my knowledge. You abandoned me." Clara's grip tightened around her phone as she felt a surge of irritation. She took a deep breath, steadying herself. "I just followed your mother's instructions to leave," she replied, her voice calm but resolute. "If you have any complaints, take them up with her." Mike's voice grew more agitated. "This isn't fair. You didn't even give me a chance to fix things. You just walked out." Clara's patience was wearing thin. "You brought up the divorce papers first, Mike. I merely followed through on your wishes. And let's be clear, if you think you can intimidate me, you're sorely mistaken. I know about your financial troubles and those visits to the adult entertainment club. If you push me, I'll make sure your company knows too." The line fell into a tense silence. Clara could almost hear Mike's composure crumble. His breathing became uneven, and he mumbled something incoherent before the call abruptly ended. Clara felt a profound sense of closure as the call disconnected. It was a small victory, a final confrontation that had allowed her to reclaim her sense of power and control. With Mike's call now behind her, Clara felt lighter, as if a heavy burden had been lifted. The sense of vindication was palpable, a stark contrast to the uncertainty and anxiety that had once plagued her. She had managed to turn the tables, no longer a victim of Mike's and Evelyn's toxic influence, but a woman who had triumphed over her past challenges. Her life continued to evolve positively. She had successfully reinvented herself, her days filled with accomplishments and a newfound sense of freedom. Clara embraced her success with enthusiasm and humility, her journey from a belittled wife to an empowered, independent woman now complete. She relished the ordinary joys of life, her cozy apartment, her thriving career, and the genuine connections she had formed with friends. One sunny Saturday afternoon, Clara decided to take a stroll through a nearby park. The city was alive with activity, and the park was a vibrant mosaic of families, joggers, and leisurely walkers. The air was crisp, and the laughter of children playing was a comforting backdrop to her thoughts. As she wandered along the winding paths, Clara reflected on her transformation. The park's beauty mirrored the new chapter of her life, full of promise and serenity. She found a quiet bench beneath a sprawling oak tree and took a seat, closing her eyes and soaking in the peaceful surroundings. In that moment of tranquility, she received a text from Laura, her friend, who had been a steadfast supporter throughout her journey. The message read, "Just wanted to check in and see how you're doing. I'm so proud of everything you've accomplished." Clara smiled, her heart swelling with gratitude. She quickly typed the reply, "Thank you, Laura. I'm doing great. It's been a challenging journey, but I've finally found my footing. I'm looking forward to the future." As she sent the message, Clara felt a profound sense of accomplishment. Her life was a testament to her resilience and strength, a journey that had transformed her from a passive observer into an active participant in her own destiny. The shadows of her past had receded, replaced by the bright promise of a future she was now shaping on her own terms. The park's serenity was a fitting metaphor for her current state of mind, peaceful and full of potential. Clara had risen above her past, embracing a future that was uniquely her own. She was no longer defined by her old relationships, but by the person she had become. Strong, independent, and ready to face whatever lay ahead with optimism and courage. As Clara watched the sunlight filter through the leaves, she felt a profound sense of contentment. Her journey had not been easy, but it had led her to a place of self-discovery and empowerment. With her past firmly behind her and her future full of promise, Clara was ready to embrace the next chapter of her life with open arms.